Have you ever found yourself in a place where everything feels uncertain, and the only thing you can do is keep breathing? That moment when the plans you made no longer make sense, and the people you thought would stay have started to drift away. You try to stay hopeful, but your heart feels heavy, and your strength is wearing thin. I've been there, in the quiet, in the dark, in the space where nothing feels certain, and in that moment, all I had left to hold on to was faith. It wasn't the kind of faith that shouts or shines brightly. It was quiet, soft, almost hidden beneath the weight of everything I was carrying. But it was there like a thread I could barely see, holding me up when I couldn't hold myself. Faith doesn't always show up as certainty. Sometimes it's just the decision not to give up today. It's the whisper that says, just a little longer, even when you don't know what's next. And that whisper kept me moving when everything else told me to stop. Holding on when you're weary isn't about being strong all the time. It's about choosing not to let go when it would be easier to walk away. It's about believing there's still purpose in your path, even when it feels like you're walking in circles. I've had days where I asked God if He still saw me, still heard me, still cared. I didn't always hear an answer, but somehow peace would meet me in the silence. And that peace became my proof. I learned that faith grows strongest in the waiting, in the seasons where nothing makes sense, but you stay anyway. When the answers don't come, when the doors don't open, when your prayers seem to echo back in silence, that's when faith becomes real, not the kind you read about, but the kind you live. It's raw, it's honest, and it's born from staying when everything in you wants to run. Faith doesn't always fix the problem, but it can steady your heart while you walk through it. There were nights I cried into my pillow, and mornings I didn't want to get out of bed. I doubted everything. My calling, my value, my future, but I kept going anyway. Sometimes I moved with confidence, but more often I moved with trembling steps. Still, I moved. And that, I've come to realize, is enough. Holding on doesn't mean pretending you're okay. It means allowing space for both hope and pain to exist in the same breath. It means you give yourself permission to cry and also permission to believe. I found strength in admitting that. I'm tired but still trying. And in that trying, I found grace. Not the kind you earn, but the kind that meets you when you have nothing left. You might feel like no one sees your struggle, and maybe they don't, but that doesn't make your effort less real. I know what it's like to be surrounded by people and still feel invisible, to smile through the ache because you don't know how to explain what hurts. But you're not invisible to the one who made you, and your effort, even the smallest act of trying, matters. I used to believe that faith had to look strong all the time, that it meant never doubting, never fearing, never questioning. But real faith is not the absence of doubt. It's choosing to believe in the presence of it. It's saying, even if I don't see the way, I'm still going to walk forward. That's where the miracle happens. Not in certainty, but in surrender. Sometimes, holding on looks like brushing your teeth and drinking water. Other times, it's reaching out when you'd rather stay silent, or whispering a prayer you don't even have the strength to finish. These small acts of faith are sacred. They are reminders that you're still in this, still here, still trying. There's no shame in needing to rest along the way. There's no guilt in asking for help, in falling apart, or in feeling lost. I used to hide those parts of myself, thinking they made me weak, but they don't. They make me human. And holding on doesn't require perfection, just honesty. Faith isn't a feeling, it's a decision. A quiet one made again and again in the face of fear, uncertainty, and exhaustion. It's not always joyful or beautiful or poetic. Sometimes it's gritty and stubborn and a little messy, but it is still faith. I've sat in silence and felt the weight of my unanswered prayers. I've wondered if I was forgotten, if I'd taken a wrong turn, if I was being punished. But even when I felt alone, I never truly was. I was being held by something deeper than understanding, and that's how I kept going. There is strength in staying and not giving up when the outcome is unclear. There is courage in believing you're still growing, even if you can't yet see the fruit. Sometimes the most powerful thing you can do is just not quit, even if you're unsure, even if you're scared. If today feels heavy, that's okay. You don't have to fix it all, just take the next small step. Let that be enough for now. Tomorrow will bring what it brings, but today you showed up, and that matters more than you know. When you look back, you'll see how far you've come, not because everything went perfectly, but because you didn't stop. You kept showing up for your life. Even when it didn't make sense, you kept loving, hoping, praying, believing. And in that persistence, you built resilience, a quiet, steady kind of strength. I don't know what you're walking through right now, but I want you to know it's okay if it feels like too much. It's okay if you're tired, unsure, and even a little angry. Those feelings don't disqualify your faith. They give it depth. Let yourself feel them. And then, hold on anyway. Your breakthrough might not be loud. It might come in a quiet moment when you least expect it. It might look like a deep breath or a single tear or a sudden peace, but it will come. Keep going, not because it's easy, but because you're worth the effort, because your story still matters. Faith isn't always about the mountain-moving moments. Sometimes it's about surviving the valley without losing who you are. It's about remembering that you are still here, still becoming. It's about trusting that even the detours have purpose, that nothing is wasted. You're not behind. You are not broken. You're healing in ways the world can't always see. And that healing takes time, gentle, unhurried time. Give yourself that gift. So if today feels like too much, if everything in you wants to let go, take one more breath, and then another. Let your breath be your prayer, your anchor, your proof that you're still in this. You don't have to have it all figured out. You just have to hold on a little longer. When nothing makes sense, and the noise of the world feels deafening, it's okay to go quiet for a while and listen to your soul. Faith doesn't require loud declarations or perfect words. Sometimes it just asks that you stay, that you sit in the stillness and believe something good can still come, even if you can't see it yet. That you keep showing up to your life with soft hands and a willing heart, because sometimes holding on looks more like surrender than control. I've learned that trusting God doesn't always mean things will go according to my plans. It means they'll go according to His. And even if I don't understand the timing or the detours, I trust that the journey still matters. Faith asks me to believe that closed doors are sometimes protection, and unanswered prayers are sometimes redirection. It takes strength to believe that delay is not denial, but even in delay, I found deeper peace. Not all growth looks like progress. Sometimes it looks like stillness, like waiting, like deep rest. In the seasons when nothing is blooming, roots are still growing underground, quietly and steadily. Faith reminds me that just because I can't see movement doesn't mean something isn't shifting. That even in silence, healing can take place, and that I'm allowed to be a work in progress without shame. Sometimes I have to remind myself that faith isn't a performance. It's a posture. It's not about being impressive. It's about being honest with where I am. I've learned to stop hiding my doubt and bring it with me to prayer, knowing that God doesn't turn away from broken hearts. He meets them right there in the middle of their mess, and that kind of grace is more than enough to keep me going. There were seasons when I was surviving on nothing but crumbs of hope, just tiny moments of relief scattered through long days. But even those crumbs were enough to keep my soul fed. I learned to celebrate the small things, a moment of peace, a good conversation, the warmth of the sun on my face. These things reminded me that life still had beauty, even in the struggle. And that beauty whispered to me, don't quit now. People will often expect you to be okay all the time, to smile and keep going as if nothing's wrong. But faith invites you to be real, to say, I'm not okay, but I'm still here. That honesty is sacred and necessary, and it doesn't make you weak, it makes you courageous. Because holding on with truth is braver than pretending to be fine. The world moves fast, and sometimes our faith gets lost in the pace of it all. But stillness invites us to come back to what matters, not outcomes, not image, but presence. Being here in this moment and knowing that it's okay to not have all the answers. Faith is about staying rooted when everything around you is trying to pull you away. It's about remembering who you are and who's holding you, even in the chaos. I found healing in places I never expected, in silence and solitude and surrender. When I stopped trying to force everything to make sense, peace began to fill the gaps. I didn't need to have all the answers. I just needed to be willing to stay open, to stay soft even when life made me want to harden. That softness, that willingness to feel, became my strength. Faith doesn't eliminate fear, but it gives you something stronger to stand on. It's not about never feeling afraid. It's about walking through the fear with purpose. I've walked through days where all I could do was breathe and trust that I was still moving forward. And even when I couldn't see progress, I was becoming someone new. Someone more grounded, more present, more whole. So if you're in the thick of it right now, if life feels loud and you feel small, I want you to hear this. You're still doing a good job. You're still becoming, still worthy, still seen. Your faith doesn't have to be loud or perfect. It just has to be honest. And even if all you have left is a whisper, let that whisper be enough. Because sometimes the smallest I believe is what carries you through the hardest night. Even when everything feels uncertain, let your quiet faith be enough. You don't need to have it all figured out. You just need to hold on. Because sometimes the smallest grip on hope is what carries you the farthest. Thank you for listening. Until next time,